Okay, everybody, we won.
All right, I'm here with Mr. Jacob Hunter, Beyond Prohibition Foundation, yprohibition.ca. Jacob, why don't you tell us what happened today and what it means for the pot community here in Canada?
Well, we got a unanimous decision from the Supreme Court of Canada that says that unfortunately doctrine of interjurisdictional immunity, that is the health jurisdiction of the province, does not trump the federal criminal jurisdiction, which was what we were hoping for. Fortunately, of course, for Insite, it does stay open. The minister is ordered to grant an exemption based on a balance of public health and public safety. It is a fairly narrow win. It's huge for the downtown east side. It's huge for everybody who's worked so hard on this, but it's unfortunately not as far-reaching as the BC Court of Appeal decision, and still leaves, for the most part, the prohibitions of drugs intact, and it leaves the crime power of the federal government as supreme over the health jurisdiction of the province for all intents and purposes.
So maybe just explain exactly what that Supreme Court decision was. How did they find, and what was the separation there between the two?
Well, essentially, what we're talking about is so that the province has the jurisdiction over health, the federal government has the jurisdiction over crime, which the BC Court of Appeal had said is under this thing called the doctrine of interjurisdictional immunity, if I can say that fast enough. Essentially that the provincial health power trumped the federal criminal power. The Supreme Court disagreed with that, and what they basically said was that the evidence on Insite is clear, that Insite itself must be granted an exemption, that the balance between public health and public safety is on the side of public health here, but it gives the minister a fair bit of discretion as it applies to other safe injection facilities. And again, it leaves the federal criminal law power as kind of the be-all and end-all.
So it means it's on a case-by-case basis, something like Insite.
A case-by-case basis, and based on the current wording of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. It's important to note in Canada there's two different things that the government could do to kind of screw around on this, for lack of a better phrase. One is from, granted, it's a very cursory reading on an iPhone. I can't, say this definitively, but from the looks of it at this point, the notwithstanding clause could be applied. And also, if the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act was reworded, we would have to go back through this entire process again.
Right.
So it's a very narrow win, but it is a win, and it is a unanimous decision. So that means that the conservative appointed judges still sided with Insite, which is in of itself a huge victory.
Yeah.
As Dean said from Ottawa, this facility has saved at least 72 lives, and more likely hundreds and hundreds of lives. There have been 14 overdoses at this facility, all of which the people have been saved. As a person who works 4 blocks from here, I can tell you that Insite, and to amend that, as someone who also grew up in the city and drove down Hastings many times in the 1990s, I can tell you that this facility has made the downtown east side a safer and better place, and has helped so many people in this neighborhood. So, this is absolutely a win for everybody in the downtown east side. It's just unfortunately not the far-reaching decision that we would have hoped for.
Is there anything the pot community on a provincial basis could take forward with this stuff? There's nothing.
No. Unfortunately, this is where we were. I mean, as the Court of Appeal decision basically said that a designated healthcare facility was not subject to the criminal law power. Based on that analysis, there was certainly room for things like a provincialization of the medical marijuana program. There's frankly a basis for a lot of changes to the way our federal structure works vis-a-vis crime and health. But unfortunately, the Supreme Court decided to reject that analysis, and so we are left waiting for the federal government to get its act together on the medical marijuana program and on marijuana in general.
Right. So great for Insite. Unfortunately, doesn't transfer over to some of the other things we had hoped.
Yeah, it's definitely, exactly. It's great for Insite, it's great for the downtown east side. It's a huge win for evidence, science, and frankly, drug policy reform. It's not the decision we were hoping for on jurisdiction.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. Excellent, brother.